said it feels we're the only ones fighting for the truth of what happened to John O'Keefe. And me and my family and my attorneys and my team have marshaled every resource to get to the truth. It just feels like no one else wants it.
And Karen, just to be clear, you didn't do it.
We know who did it, Steve. We know. And we know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know.
Yes, we do.
And no, she didn't do it. No, she didn't do it. This is an innocent woman. She didn't do it.
I tried to save his life. I tried to save his life at 6 in the morning. I was covered in his blood. I was the only one trying to save his life.
Why'd you admit to it?
She didn't admit to it. She didn't admit to anything close to that. Nothing close to that. And you should know that.
That was like 3 or 4 times she said it.
No, she didn't.
That's not true.
She asked a question.
It makes absolutely no sense. That is the Commonwealth grasping at straws. If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck.
We have the 8 letters. We've seen them. We've read them. We are using them. The genie cannot be put back in the bottle.
Yeah, LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime, unraveling the web of evil. No stone left unturned, we dive into the prime. Yeah, we digging up the dirt, bringing justice to the crime. LTL true crime, unveiling dark realities every time. Yeah, LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime, go. We can live in the shine, but then I'm not talking about it, that's so. Look at the place in your world. No pienso echarla. No pienso echarla. We got it done. Yeah, we got it right. I don't know in the boats. I break down true crime, don't go with dark realities every time. This is I break down true crime, don't go with dark realities every time. Yeah, LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. Oh yeah, from the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. Oh yeah, from the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. Oh yeah, from the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to LTL True Crime. It is Friday, February 16th, 2024. I want to welcome everybody back into the live show. If you're here live right now, we have a wonderful chat here to the right-hand side of the screen. You can chat there with all of the amazing subscribers and members and maybe first-timers that are over here. And if you're watching this on replay, please leave a comment. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. So, my friends, it's been a wild, 24, 48 hours. Lots of news, lots of things that have happened, lots of things that I want to talk about. And I did some really deep thinking today, and we'll catch up on everything. So a couple things I want to go through. I wanted to replay the hearing because I got in about 10 minutes late into the hearing yesterday. Security held us up downstairs. It's a complete mess. And when I got seated in the courtroom, I was kind of ushered in by one of the court officers and said, "You're sitting there." It's like, okay, so it's way in the back of the courtroom. Couldn't quite hear much as to what was going on, kind of looking around and seeing who was in there. So we'll go back and replay that. I have some thoughts on that as well. 2 new court TV videos have come out. Vinnie Politan last night did a segment of closing arguments. Want to watch that? They had a segment this morning. I'm hearing that they are very hung up on this drinking glass. So we'll talk about that as well. We'll go over the footage that I caught outside. Unfortunately, I forgot my mini SD card, so I couldn't use my gimbal, my DJI camera. So I had used my iPhone, but I stitched all that together. And then I want to talk about, because we can't ignore what happened at the end of the day, the Grant Ellis Smith incident, and I will give you my thoughts on that, but we'll talk about that towards the end of the program. So first, what I want to do is I want to talk about today. There was a verdict. The second jury deliberated in the case of Emmanuel Lopez in the 2018 double killing of the Weymouth police sergeant Michael Chesna and bystander Vera Adams. He was found guilty of all charges, including first-degree and second-degree murder. Let's do this. I want to pull up that verdict. So we did get the verdict today, and we'll play a little bit of that verdict because I think it's incredibly important to play this, let everybody know that finally, there is justice in these 2 victims' cases, especially for Sergeant Chesna. So let's play that here. I'm going to speed this up just a little bit.
Yes. Thank you. Well, let me hand you back the verdict slips so that you can follow. Thank you. Mr. Foreman, on docket number 1882CR309, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts versus Emmanuel Lopez, the verdict slip, murder of Michael Chesna. In the above table task, we, the jury, upon our oaths, find
Said Lopez. I'm sorry.
guilty by reason of insanity, guilty of murder in the first degree, by deliberate premeditation, or guilty of murder in the second degree. What say you? Is the defendant at the bar not guilty by reason of insanity, guilty of murder in the first degree, or guilty of murder in the second degree? Guilty of murder in the first degree. You check the box indicating deliberate premeditation. Yes. Thank you. So say you, Mr. Foreman? Yes. So say you all? Yes. 002. What say you? Is the defendant at the bar guilty, not guilty by reason of insanity, guilty of murder in the first degree by deliberate premeditation or felony murder, guilty of murder in the second degree, or guilty of involuntary manslaughter, murder, Vera Adams? 002. What say you, Mr. Foreman? Guilty of murder in the second degree. Guilty of murder in the second degree. So say you, Mr. Foreman? Yes. So say you all? Yes. Jurors, 003. What say you, Mr. Foreman? Is the defendant at the bar not guilty by reason of insanity, guilty of the offense as charged, guilty of the lesser included offense of assault to kill, and 003, assault with intent to murder while armed with a dangerous weapon, Sean Murphy? What say you, Mr. Foreman? Guilty of the lesser included offense of assault to kill. So say you, Mr. Foreman? Yes. So say you all? Yes. 004, Commonwealth of Massachusetts versus Emmanuel Lopez, verdict slip, murder while armed with a dangerous weapon, Nicholas Marine. What say you? Is the defendant not guilty by reason of insanity, guilty of the offense as charged, or guilty of the lesser included offense of assault to kill? Guilty of the lesser included offense of assault to kill. So say you, Mr. Foreman? Yes. So say you all? Yes. 005, Commonwealth of Massachusetts versus Emmanuel Lopez, assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, Michael Chesna with rock. What say you? Is the defendant not guilty by reason of insanity, or guilty of the offense as charged? Guilty of the offense as charged. So say you, Mr. Foreman? Yes. So say you all? Yes. 006. Commonwealth of Massachusetts versus Emmanuel Lopes, verdict slip carrying a firearm without a license. What say is the defendant not guilty by reason of insanity, or guilty of the offense as charged?
Guilty of the offense as charged.
So say, Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
So say you all? Yes. 007, Commonwealth of Massachusetts versus Emmanuel Lopes, larceny of a firearm. What say is the defendant not guilty by reason of insanity, or guilty of the offense as charged?
Guilty of the offense as charged.
So say, Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
So say you all? Yes. 008, Commonwealth of Massachusetts versus Emmanuel Lopes, the verdict slip, leaving the scene of accident causing property damage, marked Dodge car. What say is the defendant not guilty by reason of insanity, or guilty of the offense as charged?
Guilty of the offense as charged.
So say, Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
So say you all?
Yes.
009, negligent operation of a motor vehicle. What say is the defendant not guilty by reason of insanity, or guilty of the offense as charged?
Guilty of the offense as charged.
So say, Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
So say you all?
Yes.
010, Commonwealth of Massachusetts versus Emmanuel Lopes, use of a motor vehicle without authority. What say is the defendant not guilty by reason of insanity, or guilty of the offense as charged?
Guilty of the offense as charged.
So say, Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
So say you all?
Yes.
011, verdict slip, malicious destruction of property, the value which is under $1,200, Kendall House. What say is the defendant not guilty by reason of insanity, or guilty of the offense as charged?
Guilty of the offense as charged.
So say you, Mr. Foreman? Yes. So say you all?
Yes.
This time, Your Honor, we'd ask that the jury be polled.
To the first two indictments only? Okay, Mr. Clerk?
Just after the first two?
Yes.
Thank you. Jurors at 001 and 002. Juror 153, sitting in seat number 1. Is the verdict that I have read your verdict? Juror 15, sitting in seat number 2. Is the verdict that I have read your verdict? Juror sitting in seat number 4, Juror 56. Is the verdict that I have read your verdict? Juror 5, Juror 64, sitting in seat number 5. Is the verdict that I have read your verdict? Yes. Juror 73, sitting in seat number 6. Is the verdict that I have read your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 286, sitting in seat number 7. Is the verdict that I have read your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 366, sitting in seat number 8. Is the verdict that I have read your verdict?
Yes.
Juror sitting in seat number 10, Juror 253. Is the verdict that I have read your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 212, sitting in seat number 11. Is the verdict that I have read your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 121, sitting in seat 12. Is the verdict that I have read your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 128, sitting in seat 13. Is the verdict that I read your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 152, sitting in seat number 16. Is the verdict that I read your verdict? In 16. Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. Juror sitting in seat 15, 242. Is the verdict that I read your verdict?
Yes.
Thank you. May I record the verdict?
Yes.
Jurors, you upon your oath on docket number 1882CR001 find the following. 001. Can I have actually the verdict slips back? On 001, you have found the defendant guilty of murder in the first degree by deliberate premeditation. On 002, you have found the defendant guilty of murder in the second degree. 003, you have found the juror guilty of the lesser included offense of assault to kill. 004, you have found the defendant guilty of the lesser included offense of assault to kill. 005, you have found the defendant guilty of the offense as charged. 006, you have found the defendant guilty of the offense as charged. 007, you have found the defendant guilty of the offense as charged. 008, you have found the defendant guilty of the offense as charged. 009, you have found the defendant guilty of the offense as charged. 010, you have found the defendant guilty of the offense as charged. And 00011, you have found the defendant guilty of the offense as charged. So records the verdict. Thank you.
Okay, jurors have a seat.
Why? Why is it every time that we hear Bev on this, she always sounds disappointed? She's always she hates either her job in being there, or she just hates all the outcomes of these trials. Like, what the fuck? Could she be a little enthusiastic towards her job, or it's like every case I hear her in, she's sighing about everything. Like, do you just hate your job? Like, I mean, justice was just served in this case. A police officer in the commission of doing his job was murdered, and an innocent bystander. You should be happy that this defendant, this dirtbag's going to go away for the rest of his life, and that this family is finally going to get justice. I don't get it. I don't get it.
We want to thank you for your very careful and thoughtful deliberations. Your jury service is complete. I'd ask that you wait around a few minutes for me. I'd like to just complete myself. Thank you.
Court, all rise. Deliberate jury, follow me.
Jeez. I mean, I don't know. She's appearing impartial. She's always, she's like annoyed all the time.
Court is still in session. Please be seated.
Okay.
She just did it right there.
When do you want to come back for sentencing?
Your Honor, could I suggest that we come back in approximately 3 weeks?
Just
Respectfully, Judge, I'd ask for at least 4,
Sure.
especially in light of the Mattis case. I don't have an objection to that.
And are we going to need a whole day in light of Mattis? Or why don't you file whatever you want to file with me beforehand, and then we'll do the time. All right. Can you suggest a date, Mr. Tipton?
She just sounds aggravated.
4
By
weeks
doing her
later,
job.
puts us at Friday the 15th. You can go later if you'd like.
On March 15th? Oh, no, wait.
Seriously. It's like it's burdening her to do her job.
Your Honor, could I ask for Tuesday the 9th?
Sure. So we'll block off our afternoon. We'll put this on at 2 o'clock if we need.
March 19th at 2 o'clock?
Yes. Based on whatever you file, if we need more than a half a day, we'll figure it out. Okay. So defendant's bail is revoked. Anything else, Mr. Connor?
Nothing at this time, Your Honor.
Mr. Tipton?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Nice to see those families finally get some justice. I know this has been a long process since 2018. I think it's the second go around. First was a hung jury, I believe. We'll just watch a little bit more of this, and then we'll go to Karen's hearing from yesterday. We'll go through that because I could not hear it in the courtroom. I want to welcome everybody into this Friday live stream. I appreciate it. Appreciate y'all being here. Yeah. A lot of celebrating in the hallway. That's great. They haven't cuffed him and taken away yet? It's a little odd. Peter, thanks for the 5. I appreciate that. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, that's why, because they have to go out that way. I forgot. It's not like the smaller court where there's the downstairs and you have to come up. You have to go out the front door. Yeah, forgot about that. Superior, you go out the front door. The other court, the smaller court, you come up from downstairs and down. So, yeah, I forgot about that. Thank you. I always forget. All right. Well, thankfully, there's been justice in that case. Long awaited justice. Okay, let's go to Karen's hearing. I want to hear the 10 minutes that I missed yesterday. So essentially, what happened was we were outside. There were still people in the courtroom yesterday for the Chesna trial, and a lot of those people just waited over. So the courtroom was already filled up. They were delaying us to go in. The court officers and the state police that was outside was delaying us to go in. We finally get to go in, and then there was a big hang up because they're just letting everybody go in now. And the court officers keep going to, oh, don't worry, you're not going to miss anything. You're not going to miss anything. You're not going to miss anything. So going through the Superior Court, you're taking everything off, jacket, belt. I had a watch on, like just stuff I'm not going to wear next time if I go and sit. So go through, get my coat. Everybody's grabbing their stuff. We're trying to go up. It's a long process. We're getting up, get into the courtroom, and I look at the court time, and like 9 minutes has already passed. I've missed 9-10 minutes of this hearing already. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And immediately when I get in, there's all court officers in the aisle. And all of a sudden, he just stops us and he goes, you right there. So I got on to the right-hand side of the courtroom. So of course, there's no room. It's a full courtroom. We're trying to squeeze in. I see some empty seat over near the window. So I'm like, I'll just walk in the aisle and sit there. I don't even realize that. I go in, sit down. I look straight ahead of me, and guess who I'm literally sitting behind? Guess who I'm literally sitting behind? Type it in the chat. Who do you think that I'm sitting behind in court? I'll wait and some of the people. Oh, Tom, you have my belt? Yeah, I probably forgot where the hell I had it. Guess who? Yes. Yes. Literally right behind her the whole time. So that was very interesting. But I wasn't even really listening because I was just kind of scanning the courtroom the whole time. And I'm just trying to see, like, do I see familiar faces? I'm trying to get a look over at Yannetti and Karen. I'm watching Lally. I can hear Bev. So, there's just a lot going on to process. And a lot to process. So it was just very quick. And then, like I said, I got in. I probably only heard 8 minutes of the whole hearing. So I want to go back, review that, listen a little bit more. And from what I'm understanding today, from Court TV, we'll pull this up really quick. And again, let's see. Oh, not that one. I wanted the article. I'm sorry. This is from, what do we got? From the Globe. Judge declines to delay March 12th start of Karen Reed trial. So Dedham, the judge overseeing the high-profile murder case of Karen Reed, the Mansfield woman accused of backing her SUV into her boyfriend and leaving him for dead in Canton during a blizzard in 2022, on Thursday declined the joint request to delay the trial, slated it to begin on March 12th. Lawyers for Reed and Norfolk District Attorney Michael W. Morrissey's office had filed a joint motion last Friday to postpone the trial, saying they haven't received crucial information from the U.S. Attorney's Office, which is investigating the prosecution handling the case, DNA results, or cell phone records from Verizon. I don't know. I mean, I think it's like, in my eyes, probably some very critical, like this article said, crucial pieces of evidence you probably would want those for trial. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I know I would want that stuff, that particular information for my trial. So during the hearing in Norfolk Superior Court on Thursday, Auntie Bev said that it's too early to decide whether to postpone the trial and that the schedule will remain the same for now on both sides. Wait for new information. Now, I know they are going to have the hearing in 10 days on the 26th. I'm sure there will be a decision then. Quote, I think it's premature to continue the trial date, and I'm not going to do that, she said on the onset of the hearing, which lasted about 15 minutes. Reed's attorney, David R. Unetti, told Auntie Bev that both sides were not notified. The U.S. Attorney's Office, both sides were notified by the U.S. Attorney's Office Wednesday night that it expects to release information about its probe to the defense and prosecution within days once it receives a response from the Norfolk District Attorney's Office about edits to a protective order on the report. Auntie Bev asked Assistant District Attorney Adam Lunchbox Lally to respond to the court to the office request Friday, and he agreed. Reed, 43, is free on bail and appeared on Thursday during Thursday's hearing. Reed was met with applause from dozens of supporters gathered outside the courtroom as she left with Unetti. Unetti and Norfolk District Attorney's Office both declined to comment following the hearing. Prosecutors alleged that Reed ran over O'Keefe. We know that in the background. In the joint motion, lawyers wrote that the federal prosecutors have convened a grand jury investigation in the case, but have not shared what the inquiry has found with the Reed lawyers or Morsley's office. Both parties in this case would like more time to receive and assimilate this information before proceeding with the substantive motions that have been filed, and certainly before any trial occurs. Unetti wrote in an affidavit, the continuance request in this motion is in the interest of justice. The lawyers said that Verizon had been ordered to provide cell phone records of Jennifer McCabe, a witness in the case, but were sent the wrong records, a mistake that was not discovered until late January. According to the court records, DNA testing is being conducted on a human hair recovered from the rear quarter panel of Reed's SUV, and both sides want Bodie Laboratory to determine whether it belongs to O'Keefe. The laboratory has not yet submitted the results, records show. Lally said he agreed to join with the defense in their motion to delay the trial because the sides were awaiting those DNA results. He said the lab reported that the results won't be available until the first week of March. Reed's lawyers have maintained she's innocent and O'Keefe has been beaten in the basement of the Canton home, and that a family dog, a German Shepherd, injured O'Keefe's right arm during a struggle. During Thursday's hearing, Auntie Bev asked Unetti if the court should expect canine testing to be part of their case, and Unetti said no without elaborating. The theory that O'Keefe had been attacked by the dog in the home has so far been a key element of the defense. And Unetti's response was met with murmurs and quite gasps at some point of the packed courtroom. Unetti declined to speak about the following hearing. As the proceedings were underway, dozens of people holding signs and dressed Free Karen Reed shirts gathered outside behind police tape and metal barriers set up for crowd control. A common sight as the controversial case has been played out garnered national attention. A truck with a digital board displaying the Free Karen Reed on the message circled the roads around the courthouse. Aiden Carney, controversial blogger, journalist, known as Turtle Boy, has been championing Reed's claims of innocence and charged with intimidating a witness in the Reed case and assaulting a former girlfriend. He has pled not guilty. The next court date in Reed's case is February 26th, when Auntie Bev will consider the defense motion to dismiss. Yes, they say human hair. They say human hair. Interesting. All right, let's go back to the hearing. I can actually hear the whole hearing.
I know that you're concerned about getting information from the U.S. Attorney's Office. I do appreciate that you put right in your motion that no timeline was explicitly given for the completion of the process and therefore the production of information. But the U.S. Attorney was cognizant of the trial date scheduled for the case at bar and desired to provide enough lead time for the parties to assimilate the new information, leading counsel to believe that the information would be forthcoming in early February. What do you want to say about that, Mr. Unetti? What do we have? What's new?
So we actually have an update, Your Honor. At 8:28 p.m. last night, the parties received an email from the U.S. Attorney's Office stating the following regarding the procedure going forward. First, this is a quote. First, as soon as we hear back from the DA's office regarding the latest edits to the protective order, we will file our motion in federal court. We will then be in a position to make our disclosures immediately upon, number one, the federal judge's endorsement of the protective order, and number two, execution by the parties of the acknowledgement form on the protective order. Second, we expect that this could happen as soon as tomorrow. Now, this is an email that we're receiving last night.
Right, you said that.
They said, but he said in parentheses, again, assuming a quick turnaround of the protective order.
Okay, here's the thing. I'm going to address this again. I have no control over the court volume. I have no control over the court volume. The volume is all the way up. It's the way that it's being recorded in court. So they're probably using just a straight condenser mic that's probably pointed in a certain direction, probably towards the judge, and they have one camera there. I have no control over the court volume. I'm sorry. I try to do this the best I can, but it's just the way that it's recorded. What I would say is throw in some earbuds, turn up the volume or turn up the volume on your speakers, and you'll probably be able to hear it a little bit better. But I have no control how it's recorded and broadcast through the news. So it's just the way it is. I can hear it fine. I'm hearing it fine. I have desktop speakers right in front of me. It sounds great. I know people that have earbuds in have always said that they can hear it fine. So I don't know. But I have no control of the volume. It's just the way it is. It's the way it is.
And acknowledgement forms on your part, speaking to the parties. In any event, and barring something unforeseen, we would characterize the disclosures as happening within a matter of days.
Okay, great. Mr. Lally, I know you're on trial, but have you been able to hold up your end of this yet, or when will you be able to?
I anticipate being able to respond in regard to there was some language as far as the protective order that the Commonwealth was concerned about, given its obligations for public records requests, as well as some issues in regard to when the finality of the proceedings may be defined. But I think those are easily resolvable issues. So I anticipate we should be able to hopefully do that this afternoon.
Okay. All right, let's have it done no later than tomorrow afternoon.
Sure.
Okay, good. So that solves that. Rule 17, Google, your Exhibit A. Where do we stand with those records? Has anyone inquired of Google as to where they are, Mr. Unetti?
Yeah. So with regard to both Verizon and Google, the problem that we run into is, number one, we're not law enforcement, and number two, we're not members of the clerk's office. They will not respond to a criminal defense attorney to give an update.
Have you called legal counsel for the agencies?
Yes,
Wow.
Has a lawyer called a lawyer?
So, Your Honor, with regard to the grounds for the motion to continue that was jointly filed, it was the Verizon records, it was the exhaustive testing.
I understand, and we're going through them. So can you answer that question? Has a lawyer contacted legal counsel? Not a member of your team, but a lawyer.
So it's we've tried to do that. It is almost impossible to get legal counsel on the phone speaking to a defense attorney unless they're the ones reaching out to you. So again, this is something that the Commonwealth can accomplish. They are law enforcement. Your clerk's office can accomplish it. They're part of the court.
Jim, you talked to Verizon at one point, right? When there was a problem with records?
I did.
Okay.
Jim.
All right, so that's been done. Okay.
So I'm essentially seated. If I was on this side of the courtroom and I'm like way in the back near the windows, if you've ever been in that courtroom. So I'm behind the camera, way to the back of the right-hand side of the courtroom. That's where I got in. And I couldn't see shit. I had to look through like everybody's head to look up. I'm literally watching. I was literally at the edge of my seat like this, like holding myself up to look over and try to pay attention to what was going on because you couldn't hear anything in there. She was only one row in front of me.
I didn't know we'd have people on Zoom.
I had emailed the court yesterday to say that if it was just going to be.
Yeah, I found out from
not a
Mr.
motion to
McDermott
continue, it would just
this
be me in
morning.
person.
All right, so Ms. Little's up here.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. So what can you tell me? Let's start with Google. What can you tell me about Google?
Yes, Your Honor. If you recall, at the very last court date, Your Honor was going to inquire of Mr. McDermott and review the declaration that Brian Albert had filed and get us a copy of the court order so that we could follow up with Google. That was a discussion that we had at sidebar. I don't have, as it stands, a copy of the reference number in order to follow up with Google. And I also don't know what was filed under seal by the third party. So there were some issues that the court was going to discuss with the clerk at sidebar and then get back to us about. So I don't know what the status of those records are because we need to follow up about that.
All right. So Mr. McDermott, tomorrow, why don't we check in with Google and let counsel know any information so that they can follow up, okay?
Sure.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, so now we're moving on to Rule 17 regarding Michael Proctor and Jennifer McCabe.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to finish talking about Verizon as well.
We weren't there yet. We weren't there yet. I asked you specifically.
I was in the
about
courtroom
Google.
for
Now
this.
we're moving on
Remember
to
this.
Rule 17 records. I'm doing it in the order of your motion. So Rule 17 regarding Michael Proctor and Jennifer McCabe. Where do we stand with that, Mr. Lally?
I believe I received a letter yesterday from Mr. Reddington's office in regard to Ms. McCabe's materials being filed with the court. So that was my understanding with regard to that. I hadn't checked the docket or downstairs yet.
Okay.
And I had spoken to Trooper Proctor in regard to his communications. If they haven't been received by the clerk's office yet, then I will ensure that they are
Forthwith.
Forthwith, yes.
Okay. All right. And the Verizon records that were ordered. What do you know about that, Mr. Lally? Any information on that?
I don't.
Okay. Mr. McDermott, this is the one that Verizon sent the wrong records?
That's correct.
All right. And you followed up with them?
I did follow up with them, and they were going to
Jim?
fix the situation. I don't know if there's a cell phone record received from Verizon on January 25th, but that was probably the first one that was incorrect, correct?
It was.
Okay.
All right.
And for the record, Ms. Little did call Verizon on January 25th. As soon as we received those records, that was the first time we did receive them.
Okay. So, Ms. Little, is that what you wanted to address?
Yes, Your Honor. As you know, at the last court date, we had discussed at sidebar what the status of those records were. We did get a copy of the court order. I was able to follow up with Verizon. It looks like they were sent to the court actually back in November of last year. The date of that letter was, I believe, late November. Once we received the records, it looked like they were from the incorrect user. I was able to call the law enforcement and court number to speak with them about that.
Okay.
They did acknowledge that there was a mistake on their end, but they asked that the court clerk follow up with them because I was not an authorized person to discuss those matters.
All
and
right.
I know that Jim very quickly reached out to follow up with them.
Yeah.
And I did, yeah, thank you.
All right. So we can double check that perhaps, Mr. McDermott?
I just did check. I haven't received anything yet, but I can follow up tomorrow.
All right, great. All right, so that moves us to
back.
the DNA, Bodhi technology. Let's talk about that first. Mr. Lally, that was to be expedited. What's the information we have from them?
So that is really the only issue and the reason that it's a joint motion to continue from my perspective. I don't oppose the motion, but the reason that it's a joint request from my end. So where we stand, I spoke with someone from Bodie yesterday,
Okay.
and really what I had said to Mr. Yannetti, but it didn't get encapsulated within the motion, is there are the two sort of different sets of testing that are going on. So there's the hair sample with the mitochondrial DNA testing, and then there's the tail light evidence with regard to the troopers' samples that they submitted as well. So with reference to both of those samples, I anticipate initially what I was told, even with the 8-week rush expedited return, was sometime around the 3rd week of March or something like that. And so that was in part why
It's a lot more than 8 weeks.
well, it's 8 weeks from the date that they receive it. So not, and there were some delays in regard to that as far as whether or not there was going to be any observation testing and collecting the samples, submitting the samples. It's been a bit of an arduous process, but the point, the further point of clarity that I received yesterday is that
Excuse me.
expect, it's not a definitive due date, but their expectation is that that testing should be completed the 1st week of March now, with regard to both sets.
Okay.
My issue, though, sort of ancillary to that is, and I'm not faulting counsel for this, but I have no reciprocal discovery in this case. And my expectation is that I may be receiving some, if not a voluminous amount. I can't file a certificate of compliance and a motion for reciprocal discovery under the rules, as the court is well aware, until I've completed my discovery obligations, which I won't be able to do until we get to that 1st week of March when I get the DNA reports. So that is my reason for looking to push the trial date out a little bit in order to be able to satisfy
not
my
ready.
discovery obligations, file the motion
He's not
for
ready.
reciprocal discovery, and give counsel at least some reasonable amount of time to provide whatever it is they have, of which I just don't know.
He's not ready.
All right. So while we're talking about DNA, Mr. Yannetti, do we need to be concerned about canine DNA? Where do we stand with that?
No, I think this is the only outstanding DNA issue.
Okay. So, all right. So we're not dealing with canine
No.
DNA? All right. All right. So Mr. McDermott will help us out here tomorrow. Mr. Lally will make any
Thank you,
edits
Lunas. I
that he's
appreciate it. Thank you for
suggesting
being a
to the
member for a
protective
month.
order, and that will go out no later than tomorrow.
Yes.
So it sounds like, and 1st week of March, let's keep on.
You know, it's interesting about the canine DNA, and I'm curious to see what your comments are. Has their strategy changed? Because I think about that, because that was very interesting. You know, going back and saying, is there any other DNA that we want to go over, canine DNA? And he's like, no, not at the, no. So it was just interesting. It caught my attention yesterday. Yeah, they didn't take any samples. Paula says they're not doing the canine DNA because they can't locate Chloe. Mary says, I wonder if they had canine stuff sorted or is just don't plan to pursue it. I think they have it sorted. I thought that they tested it and they lost the samples. That's what I heard. Because I thought there was testing and they lost the samples. May says, I thought there were no Chloe samples available. And then Boston says, no, I because I think the feds have something that won't need them anymore. And that possibly could be it too. That possibly could be it too. Karen says that they lost them. That's what I heard. I heard they lost them. So this has been kind of a very confusing issue in this case, which should be a big issue. Let's see. Kyle says, I swear Yannetti and Lally both went back to forth about the more testing that they need to do on it, the more wrecks I get. Let's see. Jack says there's no way they didn't propose the canine marks on his arm. Just because they can't perform a DNA test doesn't mean they would have another expert testimony. Nancy says she is reviewing the discovery motion of overdue evidence, yet he said, no, that's only outstanding DNA that I know of. I don't think there was any taken. They either lost them or never took them. I heard they lost them. That was what the rumor that I heard, that it was lost.
On them and see if we can
The
get
Commonwealth lost them, not
DNA
Karen's
discovery
team.
before then.
How convenient.
So what I'm
Get
going
lost.
to do is let's keep that February 26th date. We still have the motion to dismiss.
Gosh, I hope not,
and the
Lisa.
motion for the DA's office to, let me get it right, motion for sanctions and disqualification, the DA's office.
Okay, can I be heard on that, Your Honor, please?
For heard on what? Scheduling?
On the February 26th date.
So on just let me finish.
Of course.
So February 26th will be on the motion to dismiss.
The motion to dismiss only.
Yes, I said we still have two outstanding. It'll be the motion to dismiss that date.
I mean, can we all take let's take a poll here. How do we and I'm not trying to be funny about this, because the reality is this. What do you think the outcome on the 26th is going to be on the motion to dismiss? Okay. Let's put a poll up. Just based on the attitude that we've seen in the court. All right. We got a poll. I'm going to do a poll. Take that poll. We'll check in about 5 minutes. Will the motion be dismissed on the 26th? The motion to be dismissed. I'm sorry. I wrote that quick. Will the motion be dismissed?
Where you're at on the motion for disqualification on that date.
I see. So I think the only issue with regard to February 26th is that's 1 week from Monday.
Right.
The Commonwealth has indicated that they anticipate filing response briefs to our motions. And
yeah, I got to rewrite that. That's a bad way that I wrote it. Here. Let's see what you all think. I already know my answer on that one. All right, I put a new poll up.
In our memorandum, I would assert that we should be given the opportunity to file reply briefs to the response briefs. And our objection to that date is there's not enough time to get all of that done by February 26th. And the issue should be fully briefed so that both sides have had their opportunity to fully brief it, and the court has an opportunity to review the brief.
Oh, I think so too. I've been saying this to my friends. They want this to go to trial so bad. I saw someone, and I agree earlier in the chat. The only way this is going to end is if the Fed step in and they have the groundbreaking information it's released. They want this to go to trial so bad. So bad.
It's an Odell motion, right?
But, and I've said this in previous streams, if it goes to trial, I have so much confidence in the three individuals that are defending Karen Reed. And I keep saying this. Can you imagine we're just hearing their expertise, their knowledge, their professionalism. their response to the Commonwealth during these hearings. I mean, this is just pre-trial, I say warm up, getting all the motions out of the way, getting all your motions on the record, getting things on the record. Can you imagine when this is handed over and they're in front of a jury and they're speaking? To me, I think it's going to be like fishing with dynamite. I think it's going to be a masterful presentation of three lawyers that are amazing.
Yes, Odell, yes.
Yeah, so it's an Odell motion. I have your motion and the attachments, police reports. I have that thumb drive with all of the grand jury minutes on it. Mr. Lally, you're going to file an opposition when? Ms. McLaughlin, when is that opposition? When can we have, Mr. Lally's on trial. Can you help us out with that, Ms. McLaughlin?
Yes, Your Honor. I anticipate having one motion filed today in regards to the disqualification and sanction motion.
Okay.
Probably need a few days, a week or so to get the motion to dismiss.
Let's do it by next Wednesday. All right. And then you can have something, an opposition to an opposition or a reply to an opposition on an Odell motion. 2 days, Mr. Yannetti. You can have something by next Friday. So the hearing will be on the 26th.
Okay,
right?
what time, Judge?
Jim, what time is it scheduled? Whatever time it's already scheduled for. Okay, thank you very much.
She's like, all right, peace.
Jim, we're done.
Thank you.
Jesus. All right, Jim, we're done.
Goodbye.
Whoa, caught Yannetti on the hot mic right there. He said, that's exactly the way I expected. And believe me, I probably feel the same way. Let's go back and hear that again on the hot mic. That's exactly the way I expected it.
Goodbye.
That's exactly what we expected. So. Oh, guess who that is? Right there. Guess who that is? I'm just literally right behind her. You might actually be able to see me. There's Rita. Oh, yeah. I would think so. It's Ted Daniels. All right. All right. So let's go to last night. And then I will, last night, Vinny, Court TV, on his closing arguments. Let's hear a little bit of this. And then towards the end, I'm going to play my footage. And then we'll get into the Grant Ellis Smith incident. I'll talk a little bit about that before we wrap up the show tonight. I want to thank everybody for being here. Please make sure to smash the like button. I do appreciate it. And we'll continue here. Vinny with closing arguments last night. And then there was a morning session that I want to play through as well, too.
I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us here on Closing Arguments. And, Court TV, we cover big trials all around the country. And sometimes the fact patterns might be similar to another case, you know, oh yeah, this one reminds me of that other one, or oh yeah, remember that other case when this happened? Well, Karen Reed up in Massachusetts is unlike any case we've ever covered before. This is a woman who was in a relationship. Her boyfriend was a Boston police officer. They go bar hopping one night, and it's a snowy night, cold night in Massachusetts. The following morning, he's found dead on the front yard of some friends, and she's been accused of murdering him. Okay, and all right, well, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Well, she's not just saying she didn't do it. What she's saying is, I didn't do it. It was the people in the house that did it, and they're police officers, and they covered the whole thing up.
I think I
so
have
she's
to
not only
disagree.
saying I didn't do it, she's saying we know who did it, and they covered it up, and they're framing me.
I think he's been the only one that's been, you know, he can't show what side he's on, but I think when he speaks, it's more pro Karen Reed, in my opinion.
And now what's happened in this community of Canton, Massachusetts, Norfolk County, is that the community's divided, and there's this huge outpouring of support for this accused murderer, Karen Reed. It's unreal. It's unlike any case that is on our docket here on Court TV, and unlike any case I've seen in decades. Julie Janae has a closer look tonight.
Who killed John O'Keefe, the 46-year-old Boston police officer who died from blunt force trauma and hypothermia? Prosecutors claim his girlfriend, Karen Reed, is the one who murdered him. January 28th, 2022, in Canton, Massachusetts, prosecutors say Reed and O'Keefe went out drinking. Later, they pulled up to the home of Brian Albert, a police officer they were acquainted with who had invited them over. Prosecutors say the couple argued, and when O'Keefe got out, Reed backed her car into him and allegedly left him unconscious to die out in the snow in front of Albert's home. Police say they discovered pieces of broken taillight at the scene. And according to the state, Reed allegedly told a first responder, quote, "I hit him." Reed is charged with second-degree murder, vehicular manslaughter while impaired, and leaving the scene of an accident. She denies the allegations and sat down with ABC News' Nightline.
I did not kill John O'Keefe. I've never harmed a hair on John O'Keefe's head. I would call him the patron saint of Canton. He was just very selfless, frugal, and I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone that didn't care for John.
Reed says they pulled up to Albert's home and she asked O'Keefe to check and see if they were really invited. She claims she watched him go to the door, but he never came back to the car and he didn't answer the phone. She said she went home and fell asleep.
I agree.
And she claims she never heard from him again. In the early morning, she says she went out to search for him and found O'Keefe at 6 a.m. lying in the snow in front of the home where she'd left him.
He had this set of wounds on his right arm. And the Commonwealth looks at these wounds and says, there's nothing to see here. This is just a road rash.
Reed's defense attorneys have an alternate theory. They say O'Keefe was beaten up in the basement of Albert's home, attacked by Albert's dog, and then dumped outside.
Why would Brian Albert rip out the floor of his basement months after John O'Keefe was killed?
So is this a cover-up, and if so, who's leading the cover-up?
Well, certainly the Massachusetts State Police is involved. There are people that were in that house that are involved.
Reed is represented by two high-profile attorneys. Their evidence includes...
It's funny that Jackson said all that stuff before all the stuff that came out, just recently, the investigation Josh Levy's been doing into the state police department. And again, I want to make sure that we're very clear here on this channel. I'm very pro law enforcement. If I'm in any type of trouble, the first number that I'm calling, probably besides my mother, is 911 to get direct help. I just want to make sure everybody understands that. But there are bad police officers out there. And obviously, we're seeing a lot of that lately here in Massachusetts. We had the CDL scam that came out. and multiple officers over a long period of time just got recently charged in that. So, I mean, it's interesting. Jackson says that. That's before all this stuff started coming out about the Mass State Police. And I think the investigations are going to continue, and you will see more. And I think that Levy hasn't made the final decision here yet, and we'll get that information out to Karen's team, and there will be presented. I think the feds have a lot. I think they have a lot in this case. I think they do. And hopefully we hear something here in the next couple of days. All right, let's keep playing on here.
A Google search done on the phone of Albert's sister-in-law, a search for how long to die in cold at 2:27 a.m. But the state says the defense's analysis of that cell phone is flawed, and in a rare public statement of its kind,
that absolutely makes zero sense to me that it's going to be flawed. There is a reason. Things don't type themselves. Things don't type themselves. The phone doesn't just say, hey, all of a sudden I'm going to just at a certain time of the day type in how long to die in coal. It doesn't happen. It doesn't malfunction. It doesn't do that. Someone typed that on that phone. We know who typed it on that phone. Freedom Fighter 199 says, where are you located, Brian? Do you do local work? I live here in the great state of Massachusetts. I live here in the great state of Massachusetts. Thank you for the $1.99. I appreciate it. All right, let's keep playing.
the district attorney reprimanded the defense for spreading what they say are lies about innocent people.
Conspiracy theories are not evidence. The idea that multiple police department, EMTs, fire personnel, the medical examiner, and prosecuting agencies are joined in or taken in by a vast conspiracy should be seen for what it is. Completely contrary to the evidence.
Just do this real quick. Lunas, thank you for the 20. I appreciate it. So how silly is the DA to claim that the investigation was due to a corrupt and biased Rollins? Levy is a 100% a badass. I completely agree. Completely agree. And I think that he's going to go wipe right through this. And I think the report is a lot. And we're going to have a lot of data on that geofencing. I'm telling you, a lot of data on that geofencing. Geofencing does not lie. You're there. It will place every single person where they were that night. Believe me.
Evidence and a desperate attempt to reassign guilt.
The Karen Reed case has spilled outside the courtroom and into the streets of Canton. Residents have leveled allegations of corruption in their law enforcement agencies and protested in support of Reed. Despite public opinion, it's up to a jury to decide if this case is one of a police conspiracy or a lover's quarrel turned deadly.
You don't see members of the public coming out before the trial even starts and protesting in favor of and supporting an accused cop killer. That just doesn't happen. I've never seen it before. But it's real and it's legit, these folks. It's not like they're making up what they believe here. And you know how I know that? It's like the middle of the winter. It's a pretrial hearing. It's not even the trial. And again today, they're showing up.
Yeah, you know, and this is the stream that I've been wanting to put together, and I'm glad that you have brought this up, Mama Bug. And this is a stream that I'll be doing soon. I've been working on it. So it says Google's are accurate in Brian Walsh, but not here. Apple Health accurate in Lindsay Clancy, but not here. Right. And who do we know was the lead state police investigator on the Karen Reed case and the Brian Walsh case? Why so much Google data in the Brian Walsh case, but in the Commonwealth's statement in Karen Reed's case, how many times was Google data mentioned in their PCA? How many times? I read over 9 times, I believe, in the Brian Walsh case. How many times in Karen's case from the Commonwealth was it placed in there about Google searches? Just throw your numbers in the chat. Let's see what you all think. I'll give everybody a few seconds to type it in there. How many times do you think the Google searches were mentioned in the Commonwealth's PCA? I'll wait a little bit longer. I see a lot of zeros. A lot of zeros. Believe it or not, it's once. And you know the time that they mention it? Was supposedly when Karen was back outside that house with Jen and Carrie. It was Google, how long does it take to have someone die from hypothermia? But it's amazing that it took Karen's team of those brilliant lawyers to go back and look and find out all the real Google data from that. And we'll get into this. This is a live that I'm going to do. We're going to do a lot of compare and contrast. All right, let's keep going.
Unbelievable. We have some more images here, courtesy of our, thanks to Nick Rocco for helping.
When I see something funny, I think Nick probably sent this over, but I actually took that photo right there. It was a good photo. And the funny thing about this photo was this. I was standing at the top of the stairs. We were waiting to try to get into the courtroom. And I was looking at everybody. And I said, I looked down because I had my camera out, wide angle, wanted to try to get everybody. I said, everybody look up. And if you were all there, you get the joke. It was funny. Everybody goes like this. They look up to the sky. So that's why I got some people looking up to the sky and some people looking at the camera. But it was pretty funny. I actually tweeted that out and dropped it in the Justice group as well, too. But everybody was kind of like, what? What's going on? It's a great picture. It really is a good picture.
Put us out here. But there they are. It doesn't matter how cold it is. They've been there time after time, hearing after hearing, supporting an
it was
accused
nice to talk to
cop
everybody.
killer, right? Her boyfriend was a Boston police officer. But again, they believe, the protesters, as is Karen Reed and her attorneys, that she's being set up here by the police. So they're back in court today. Trial is coming up March 12th. You see it right down there. But it looks like the one thing both sides may agree on is that they want this thing delayed. Take a listen.
Judge, this is Commonwealth versus Karen Reed, 22117. Can I have counsel identify themselves, starting with the Commonwealth?
Adam Lally for the Commonwealth. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lally.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Laura McLaughlin for the Commonwealth.
Good afternoon, Ms. McLaughlin.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. David Yannetti for Karen Reed, who is present with me at counsel table. My co-counsel are participating by Zoom.
All right. Good afternoon, Ms. Yannetti. Good afternoon, Ms. Reed. I don't see co-counsel, but I can't see anybody other than the panel.
Judge. And if we needed to speak to them, I've already spoken to Mr. Yannetti. I can.
All right. So good afternoon, Mr. Jackson. Good afternoon, Ms. Little. All right. So I'm in receipt of the joint motion to continue the motion hearing date, cancel the final pretrial conference date, and convert the trial date to a motion hearing date. So I just want to start off with, I think it's premature to continue the trial date today. So I'm not going to do that. Let's talk about, though, what might throw off our timeline. So I want to go through each one of these things. The first one, I know that you're concerned about getting information from the U.S. Attorney's Office. I do appreciate that you put right in your motion that no timeline was explicitly given.
It's just the way they do things in Massachusetts. It's very, 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 very old school law here. It's just the way it works. That's how they do it. And like everybody has to stand and everybody has to call them my brother, my sister. It's just old school. I mean, for crow's sakes, they call it a Commonwealth. We're a Commonwealth here. It's old school justice.
Given for the completion of the process and therefore the production of information. But the U.S. Attorney was cognizant of the trial date scheduled for the case at bar and desired to provide enough lead time for the parties to assimilate the new information, leading counsel to believe that the information would be forthcoming in early February. What do you want to say about that, Mr. Yannetti? What do we have? What's new?
So we actually have an update, Your Honor. At 8:28 p.m. last night, The parties received an email from the U.S. Attorney's Office stating the following regarding the procedure going forward. First, this is a quote. First, as soon as we hear back from the DA's office regarding the latest edits to the protective order, we will file our motion in federal court. We will then be in a position to make our disclosures immediately upon, number one, the federal judge's endorsement of the protective order, and number two, execution by the parties of the acknowledgement form on the protective order. Second, we expect that this could happen as soon as tomorrow. Now, this is an email that we're receiving last night.
Right, you said that.
But he said in parentheses, again, assuming a quick turnaround of the protective order and acknowledgement forms on your part, speaking to the parties. In any event, and barring something unforeseen, we would characterize the disclosures as happening within a matter of days.
Natalie with the $9.99, she says she wouldn't schedule a sentencing in the middle of a trial, so that's telling, especially the beginning of a trial. She wouldn't schedule a sentencing in the middle of a trial, so that's telling. Thank you for the $9.99. I appreciate that.
Okay, great.
Money matters.
Get
whether you're counting
commercial.
pennies.
I'm going to just mute this because I am not sponsored, but if Main and Wall in Court TV want to sponsor LTL True Crime, I'll take it. Thank you all for being here. If you can take a moment, the like button is free down there to smash the liketh button. I would appreciate it. Oh, we're going to get another commercial. Another commercial. And we will get to my coverage from yesterday, and then we'll talk a little bit about some things that happened at the end. All right.
Have you been able to hold up your end of this yet, or when will you be able to?
I anticipate being able to respond in regard to there was some language as far as the protective order that the Commonwealth was concerned about, given its obligations for public records requests, as well as some issues in regard to when the finality of the proceedings may be defined. But I think those are easily resolvable issues. So I anticipate we should be able to hopefully do that this afternoon.
Okay. All right, let's have it done no later than tomorrow afternoon.
Sure.
Okay, couple takeaways here. Number one, it really looks like this judge wants to march forward with the March 12th trial date, right? Even though both sides are saying, hey, can we delay this, judge? No, that's premature. And what they're all talking about is an investigation of the investigators in this case. Like I said, the defense is saying this was a police cover-up and frame job, right? The U.S. attorney, the feds have come in and are investigating the investigators, and the folks leading that investigation say they're going to reveal some of the results of their investigation to the prosecutor and the defense attorney in Karen Reed's case. Are you following that? So the people who investigated Karen Reed and charged her are being investigated by the feds. And the results of the federal investigation will be released to the DA and to the defense. Wow. Let's bring in our think tank. Joining us tonight in Phoenix, Arizona, criminal defense attorney, the attorney who represented Jodi Arias, hates her more than you, Kirk Nurmi. In Atlanta, Georgia, criminal defense attorney Eckler Mercy, and also with us in Los Angeles, California.
We need Melanie back
Deputy
on there.
Defender for LA County, Philip.
Didn't see Melanie
Dubé
on there in a
is with
while.
us. Great to see everyone tonight. Kirk, I've never seen this before. It's a federal investigation of the state investigators who investigated and ended up charging Karen Reed with murder. The results of their investigation of the investigators will be revealed to the prosecution and Karen Reed and her defense team. What are your thoughts about
Dina, thanks
that?
for the $9.99. Appreciate it.
What a wild
Thank you for
story.
being
And,
here.
you know, I know the judge was hesitant at
being
this
a moderator.
point to back up the trial date, but I'm wondering if what kind of can of worms this is going to open, because how rare is it to have a case, as you mentioned, where the investigators are being investigated? That cannot be good for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and their attorney. So we could possibly see motion to disqualify those attorneys. We could see motions related to taking depositions of other people that were involved in this investigation. What initiated this investigation? I mean, these documents presumably are going to open more questions. They will provide answers. This and the possibility of DNA coming up means I'm thinking we're probably going to have to wait till March 12th before this trial hits the airwaves of Court TV.
Eklund Mercy, that is a gift, isn't that a gift? I think regardless of what the results of this investigation are, at this point, this is an incredible gift to Karen Read, that the people who are charging her or investigated her are being investigated by the feds.
Yeah, I don't think it's a gift. I think that with regards to the feds, they had trustworthy facts that a crime had been committed, and the fact that they're investigating means that they had enough to get to that point. We had enough for probable cause, and that really just throws a ding in the prosecution's investigation, because all the evidence is by these investigators that apparently, if there's enough probable cause for an investigation, means that there's enough. So there's issues with Brady material, meaning that, hey, did the prosecution or did the investigator keep some information that would be helpful to Ms. Read? There's a lot. And the mere fact that the feds are still investigating, meaning that Karen Read has a good shot of this not even going to trial. I think it may be dispositive just based on the interactions in court, that the information may be dispositive.
All right, Philip Dubé, you're in L.A., and that's where Karen Read's, one of her attorneys is. Alan Jackson is a former prosecutor there. I'm sure you've come across him many times inside the courthouse. What's your take here on this defense as a whole? Is because, I'm a big grain of salt guy. I'm a former prosecutor. There are some strange occurrences here. Do you think this is legit stuff by the defense, or do you think it's part of what I call defense theatrics, where you kind of...
Knowing Alan Jackson, I have no doubt that he has credible evidence to back up his defense. There is no question. And there are some hard answers that the prosecution is going to have to answer if this, in fact, goes to trial. So, for example, that Google search of, how long does it take for a body to freeze? Why on earth that was Googled before the body was even found, or whatever that timeline was? That is a very significant, almost exonerating detail that will absolutely exonerate Karen Read if that, in fact, comes into evidence. I cannot think of any reasonable explanation for that Google search predating in time and manner the discovery of Officer O'Keefe's body out in the snow. It doesn't make any sense. There has to be some type of digital technological explanation for it. Otherwise, it's going to look like the people in the house had their way with him, slid the body outside and left him there, and then tried to pin it on somebody who may have come into contact with him at the time that he was dropped off at the party, or sometime after his body was dragged outside. So I actually think it's pretty brilliant. As for the federal thing, and I'll be brief, Karen Read needs to be careful what she wishes for, because the federal investigation could also clear local police. Just because they're investigating doesn't mean that more charges will be brought, or that they're going to come in and try to put that entire local police department into a receivership and assume jurisdiction over them. It could come out of the wash that they did nothing wrong, and they can go forward with their prosecution. And then what? Now the prosecution can call the feds to the stand and double down on their assertions of the strength of the evidence. So they need to be careful too.
So, Kirk, if the opposite happens, though, Kirk, and there is something that the feds find that went wrong with this investigation, as witness after witness takes the stand for the prosecution against Karen Read, you can use all that material to attack their credibility, attack their investigation if, and again, as Philip Dubé says, this is a big if they do find something wrong with this investigation.
Yeah, I would disagree with Philip. I don't think it can be used to bolster the state's case. They're not after the fact witnesses or to vouch for the credibility for the state. I think this can only help Karen Reed. And ultimately, you're right, Vinny, all these things and what initiated the investigation, all the inconsistencies they found, what was the probable cause, as Eklund said, they're going to be able to go after all of that and all that new information and follow up. That's why I say, I don't know that we're headed for a March 12th trial date, because there's going to be so much information that the Reed team can use. And if there's credibility to their assertions that Philip was talking about regarding to the Google search, what have you, this is nothing but damaging, not only to the prosecution, but to every witness they're going to bring forward, because they're going to be impeached with all this information.
And obviously, we will stay on top of every development in this story as it marches on up in Massachusetts.
That was good. All right. Then we had one that was from this morning, which is not so pro. Not so pro. So this one's recorded. Thank you for the person that did record this and post it in the Justice Group. We'll play this. I think her name was Mary. We'll play through this, and then I will get to my coverage of yesterday's hearing. So I want to hear a little bit of this.
This morning, we're shining a spotlight on the forensics in the murder case against Karen Reed. She's accused of backing into her boyfriend, Boston police officer
One, they're really stuck on the drinking glass.
John O'Keefe, with her SUV, leaving him injured and ultimately killing him as he froze to death in the snow. Those are the allegations from the state. Reed, though, says she's innocent, and her attorneys are arguing that the injuries John O'Keefe sustained aren't consistent with someone being hit with a car.
He was found not in the street. He was found on the lawn that had begun to take some snow cover. And his torso was pristine. His hip area pristine and his legs pristine. Somebody being hit by a car, I would submit, does not look like they had been punched out by Mike Tyson.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so that is the defense position, but the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has been very firm in its allegations, saying that the forensics do support injuries consistent with her speeding up in the snow, hitting her boyfriend, knocking him over, and him dying as a result. We have very special guests we want to bring in now with me, forensic pathologist Dr. Michelle Dupree and forensic death investigator, professor at Jacksonville State University and the host of the Body Bags podcast, Joseph Scott Morgan. Great to have you both analyzing this case for us. I'd like to start with the injuries, if I could, please. And so we're going back to wintertime in Boston. It is a cold, very snowy night. There's snow on the ground. And Dr. Dupree, I wanted to ask you about this. We have some of the findings from autopsy. We understand that the manner of death was listed as undetermined. The cause, blunt impact injuries of the head and hypothermia. In particular, we know the officer suffered a fractured skull, 2 black eyes were seen, and lacerations to his arms. And the state is saying that Karen Reed sped up and hit him, and he fell over and sustained these injuries. Can you see these injuries happening with that set of facts, Dr. Dupree?
I can, under a certain set of circumstances. For example, the black eyes. You can get black eyes from a skull fracture. It depends on what kind of skull fracture that is.
Or being punched repeatedly in the face. I mean, have you ever seen a boxing match? People at the end of a boxing match. Let's see. Let's just here's some examples of what people look like after a boxing match. And I'll continue to play through this, but here's some examples. I mean, look at this guy's face right here. Looks very similar to the injuries on John's face. This is all boxing matches after the ends of boxing matches. Before and after fights. Look at this. That's a before and an after. Before and an after. The before and an after. Before and an after. Another one. Before and after. Before and after. See how the eyes are closed and swollen? Yeah, and how do we explain the defensive wounds on John's hands? Look at this. After a fight. Look at that. Even during the fight. Look at the swelling on the face. All right, we'll go back to the video here.
And where that skull was fractured. So we would have to know that to really determine that. But yes, you could get black eyes from skull fracture. The rest of it on the arms, certainly. If he was crouched over or bent down, you could sustain that from a car hitting someone as well. So they might be consistent, but it's all going to depend on that totality of circumstances surrounding that scenario.
Right, Dr. Dupree. And would you take one thing a step further for us, please? Would you explain how the black eyes could occur from a skull fracture?
Sure. Depending on where that skull is fractured, your orbital sockets where your eyes are located sit on top of your skull. And if that plate in your skull is fractured, then you will get blood that it's going to seep down into that area, causing what we call raccoon eyes. And that is a particular type of skull fracture that you can see.
Dr. Dupree, thank you for that. Another point I would like to bring up in our discussion here is the cocktail glass that could be key. Professor Joe, I want to go to you on this point, please. We know that John O'Keefe was at a bar drinking with other friends and Karen Reed and left the bar holding his cocktail glass. He actually walked out with it, took it with him. And the district attorney, I have a clip here, is talking about how pieces of that glass were found embedded in the bumper of the defendant Karen Reed's car. Let's watch.
The damages to the right rear corner panel of the defendant's vehicle. Embedded within the bumper to that vehicle is pieces of cocktail glass. The victim, Mr. O'Keefe, is last observed on surveillance video, external surveillance video from the Waterfall establishment that he left just prior to going to 34 Fairfield, with a cocktail glass in his right hand. Same arm is injured, the same type of glass that is then recovered from the bumper of the defendant's car.
Professor Joe, this point of evidence, the pieces of the glass in the bumper, for you, does this support the state's theory?
Perhaps, because you're referring to a specific point of contact. Remember, they're referring to the arm. You know, he's making this assertion that
this guy's even stuttering. He can't explain it. And I usually like when he comes on and explains things. Let's back up here. He's even stuttering.
Perhaps, because you're referring to...
And he says perhaps. So he's not even 100% convinced. He's not even 100% convinced. He's an expert, a forensic pathologist, expert. He says, perhaps.
A specific point of contact. Remember, they're referring to the arm. You know, he's making this assertion that he's holding the glass in his right arm where these injuries, these so-called lacerations that they're referring to, he sustained. Here's the thing, is if you're saying that this is the same glass that was used in that establishment, I'd like to know how they're drawing that conclusion from a physical evidence standpoint. What kind of examination was conducted? Did they go and retrieve glasses from that same set at the bar and then compare the glass that they have? From a manufacturer standpoint, does it originate from that same point along the way? And for anybody that works in trace evidence, this is going to be key because you have to have something to compare it with. And where's the body of the rest of the glass?
Right.
If all the remnant that they have perhaps is contained in that bumper, were all of the pieces collected? And this is a messy scene because you're talking about snow here, Julie.
It sure is, Professor Joe. That's a great point. My understanding is that there were lots of pieces of that glass that had shattered found around John O'Keefe. And some.
Yeah, and I want to, Amanda, I don't know if you're new coming in here. I'm sure you've heard a little bit about this case, but let's just say this too, okay? Then after supposedly all this happens, the state police go out to Karen's father's house where her SUV is. They confiscate her SUV, load it onto a tow truck in snow with the elements out there, and tow it 31 miles from Dayton, Massachusetts to Canton, Massachusetts. 31 miles and all that elements. And then 3 days it takes them to process the truck. 3 days. You have a potential murder weapon that killed a Boston police officer, and you're going to wait 3 days to process that. Why not start taping off the scene and at Karen's parents' house and start getting a crime lab out there, taking some pictures and samples? But they tow it all the way back to Canton after it becomes the possession of the state police, Massachusetts State Police. Doesn't get towed to a crime lab there, but they bring it back to Canton. 3 days to process that. That's a lot of time. A lot of things can happen in between those 3 days. I think you're catching my drift.
In the bumper, but we shall see. That's a great point. Did they substantiate that it is the exact same glass taken from the establishment? We know the Reed team is alleging that there was placement of the glass and tampering with evidence, which is why they've actually been successful in motioning the court to allow DNA sampling taken from investigators, because they're alleging that evidence was planted here. And why this really fascinates me, I would think it would be very tough to plant this kind of evidence. Professor, what do you think about that? Do you think it's possible to do it the way the defense is alluding it may have been done here?
Well, they can allude to it, and of course their fallback position, I would think at least, is going to be, oh, well, these are law enforcement officers. They know how crime scenes work. They know how we process these scenes, and it can be alleged from that perspective, I suppose. They can put that forth for the jury to hear it potentially in court. And yeah, I mean, it's got some legs to it, I suppose. But again, is all of this going to marry up with the other injuries that this fellow sustained all over his body? Because they're alleging, some of these injuries are not consistent with, say, a bumper strike on a body, on his body. It originates from other things, like there's the mention of a dog involved in this particular case. Yeah.
Right. I'm so glad you brought that up, Professor Jill. We have a picture of it. We were showing it while you were speaking just a couple of moments ago. The markings on the arm. Defense counsel for Karen Reed, they've, of course, been very public about their position on this case, and they made the allegations you just mentioned about, was it a dog who lived at that house who bit him or scratched him? We have that clip. Let's roll it now.
He said that the medical examiner said this was not from an animal attack. I would highly recommend that Mr. Morrissey actually read witness statements before he starts pontificating about them. Here's what the medical examiner actually said. First, she said that she was unqualified to make a determination as to whether or not there were animal attacks. Does that sound familiar? Unqualified. And here's her actual statement. Quote, in this particular case, all I can say is that the injuries are there. I documented them. I measured them. But I can't tell you what caused them.
Okay, Dr. Michelle Dupree, tell us, please, listening to this, whose side do you think this evidence helps?
To me, looking at the photographs, these injuries do not look like they are from a cocktail glass. They do look to me more like they may be animal scratches or bites even. But a cocktail glass is going...
By the way, I'm going to promote one of my friends here for a second, and I want to drop this in the chat for some of you that might not know attorney Melanie Little if you're watching this stream. What I want you to do after my stream tonight, if you have time and you want to check this out, is I'm going to direct you to a stream that she had with a gentleman named Garrett Wing, and he is a canine trainer, a police dog trainer, I believe, from what I remember. They train canines for police duty. And I would love for you to go over and watch that stream after the stream. I'm going to drop the link here, and that's Melanie's channel, and go over and watch her live with that gentleman, that expert. And they go over the dog bites during her stream. And it was very informative. And if you haven't seen it, please go over, check out, make sure to subscribe to Melanie's channel as well, too, and watch that video. Very, very, very informative. And you'll be blown away what he has to say.
To break into multiple pieces. You have several iterations on this arm along, what, 10 inches maybe? That just doesn't make sense to me that it would be a cocktail glass.
And Dr. at autopsy, would a forensic pathologist like yourself be able to tell if those scratches happened on the...
Actually, what he does, his expertise is, when he trains these police dogs, is to train them to bite the correct way. And he actually shows and backs up evidence that these, in his opinion, in his expert opinion, with all the years of training dogs, canines and German Shepherds, that in his expert opinion, that this is from a dog. And it's a great stream. You have to see it. I've dropped the link a couple times in there. Check it out after this stream here.
Same day that John O'Keefe was killed, or if they potentially were there a day or two or three prior?
Again, that very much depends. We can tell if the injuries were post-mortem. These do not look that way, but we can also tell an approximate time frame. If it happened within the same day, we may not be able to pin it down to the exact same hour, but if it did happen within the same day or two, we should be able to tell that, yes.
Great information from you both. Big thanks to Dr. Michelle Dupree and Professor Joseph Scott Morgan. We'll see what happens as this case progresses with Karen Reed. Here is what's coming up next.
Mary, thank you for posting that and getting that up this morning. Okay, let's get into my boots on the ground coverage from yesterday. I have about a 17-minute video to play out, and we'll watch that. Okay, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. It's been swirling in the Facebook group. It's been swirling around on some of the socials. I've given it a lot of thought myself, and there was an article actually posted on TV Daily today, and I'm just going to pull this up really quick. I'm not going to read through it because you're all intelligent people. You can go through and read through it and make your own determinations and your assumptions. But if you want to go over TV Daily News, I'm going to drop the link here in the chat, and I'm going to briefly talk about something that happened yesterday. And this reads, a letter to Karen Reed supporters, please stop the cringe behavior. Okay, I'm going to give you my thoughts on everything as to what happened at the end of court yesterday. I did a lot of thinking about this, and I'm going to choose my words correctly. And essentially, I have to say this. At the end of court, there was a lot of tension. There was a lot of friction. You have, I guess, both sides that are very, I don't want to say volatile, but I think there was a lot of pent up energy yesterday. And I can't speak for anybody but themselves. I can't speak for anybody's behavior. I'm going to speak to my behavior. And this was my observation. I have video of everything that happened yesterday during the things that took place on the live stream with Grant. And I'm not going to speak for anybody's behavior here, but I will address mine. I'm not going to release the footage. One, I don't think that we need to rehash that. There's a little bit of it in the video that I'm going to play and I'm still contemplating if I'm going to release this video. I may actually stop it before the hit pause before the actual incident. So I want to speak to my behavior yesterday. So I did film the interaction. It was on a live stream, and I'm going to speak for myself here. I, at the end of Grant walking away, did say a few words to him, and I think the better of the situation took over my judgment. So, first of all, I want to apologize. And I want to apologize to all of you. And I want to apologize to the movement. And I want to certainly apologize to Aiden. I'm a little bit embarrassed. I'm an adult. I should have thought a little bit more clearer. But I think it was just the whole moment. I think it's the only way that I can really describe it. I didn't say I'm not going to justify anything. Again, I apologize. I'm sorry. I know going forward that if I am out in public supporting the Karen Reed movement, that I will carry myself in the utmost respect. And I'm sorry if I let anybody down. Listen, we're human beings. Okay, we have emotions, and we have a lot of feelings, and we have a lot of time invested in what goes on here, and we've done a lot of things, and people make mistakes. And yesterday, my actions, I made a mistake. And so I just want to apologize, and I will make sure that going forward, that won't happen again. I'm not going to go into what I said. I'm sure it's on the live stream. It could be heard. I didn't swear at him. I just made some poking words on his exit, his glorious exit, I guess. So I would say this going forward too. I have to agree with Turtle Boy's article, and what was said in there is that we cannot afford to give anything going forward. We have to carry ourselves with the utmost respect, because again, and I've always said this in other streams, even before reading this article today, this is not about us. This is not about us. It's about John. It's about Karen. It's about justice. And we are the people that are representing the supportive side. And we cannot stoop to that level. We cannot go there. And that behavior from me will never happen again. I will make sure that I am in check, and I will not feed into that. I know that there was just things about going to court and dressing respectively. I did dress respectively. I wore a suit yesterday, so I want to make sure that everybody understands that as well too. But again, I cannot speak for everybody there. And listen, it's a highly emotional time. People are going to say things, and I can't police them, and nor can the next person or the next person. We have all our free will to speak. I know for myself, again, I'm just speaking for myself going forward. I'll make sure that that my behavior is in check. Another thing that I think people have to understand too, I am extremely uncomfortable in public settings. So I try to make light and jokes of the situation as well, to make myself seem a little bit more comfortable, or put myself in the comfort of people. So I may say things like joking around. I know I heard a little bit of shit yesterday when I was joking about YouTube celebrity. I was joking, clearly joking. You can see my face in the camera. I get very close, and I'm joking around. So I wasn't getting caught up in the moment and thinking I was bigger than this and that. No. Yeah, I like to joke around and have fun, and it is what it is. So anyway, I'm going to continue on. I'm going to play the footage from yesterday that I grabbed, and we'll see how the day was. It was actually a really amazing day. It was fun to get out there and see everybody. Let me see this. I have to go back to the 20. Thank you, Luna's mom. She says, Brian, we know you. It's all good with us. I appreciate that. Let's see. Carrie H says, everyone makes mistakes. You're awesome, Brian. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And listen, my point is to not shit on anybody. I'm sure everybody can speak for themselves. Again, I'm just speaking, but I'm going to tell you from my vantage point, I think it was just the totality of the situation. That's the way that I can look at it. I don't think it was wrong on that side. I don't think it was wrong on that side. It's just the totality of the situation. There was, I have to say, there was a lot more egging. If you want to say the other side, there was a lot more egging there. And I think that he knew that, and he knew that it was going to get the better of the situation, and things got a little hostile, a little out of hand. And that's all I can speak for and say. But again, I addressed my behavior. I apologize if any of that was caught up at the end. I did say a few words, the parting words, as Grant was walking away, and I will make sure that going forward, I will be in check and check my behavior. As far as everybody else, they can do their apologizing if they want to do that on their part, or they can speak why they did or whatever they did or whatever. It was a lot of people involved. It's not just a certain few. There was a lot of people involved, and shit gets said all the time from both sides. So I don't think you can just blame one particular group of people. Again, when you get a large mass of people in an area that are very pro Karen Read or very against Karen Read, things are going to get said. I mean, it's just the way it is. You're in a group setting, and you cannot control everybody. And I cannot say, don't say that, don't do this. People are just going to do it. And that's the way it is. And sometimes you get caught up in a particular situation. So I think it is what it is. I think it needs to rest and go away. I think that this is a learning lesson for myself, of course. And like I said, going forward, I will be in check and make sure that I will rise above and be the bigger person in this situation next time. And that's it. I think that's all I really have to say on it. So if you want to go with that, you can. If you don't, then you don't have to. So all right, we'll play from yesterday what I picked up on my iPhone because I didn't have my awesome camera. I went to go take it out, and I was talking with a bunch of people in the parking lot, and here I am fumbling with my camera. I go to turn it on. No SD card in my camera. You know where my SD card was? Right here on my desk. Right here on my desk. I don't even know. Oh, nope. My thumb drive's not here. I might have lost it. I have to buy another one. But yeah, I went to get out, turn my camera on, no SD card, so I can't record. I was pissed, searched around in my car for it everywhere, couldn't find it, and ended up just taking my iPhone out and recording what I could grab. So we'll play a little bit of what happened yesterday, pre-court, during court, and then after. I don't want to relive the after. I think we've seen it enough. We've talked about it. I probably will pause it. And I'm not even sure if I'm going to release the video. So you're going to probably just see it here. And we'll go through that. All right, here we go.
I always get here really early.
Yeah.
Suck having the camera.
Yeah,
Too much caffeine. Move the camera.
I
love it. I like up and down.
I'm going to go through the crowd.
Doesn't move. It stays still.
Oh, you gotta bring your What's up, Brian?
How are you?
What's up, Brian? How you doing?
How are you?
Hey, Brian.
What's up, man? How are you?
How you
Good
doing,
to see you.
How are you?
Good. How are you? Oh, nice. Here we go. New sign.
We love LTL.
Thank you. Oh, we got to get the dog.
Oh, yeah, I was looking for like.
Hi, Rita.
Hey, how are you?
How are you?
Vote for Rita.
That's right. Vote for Rita. I got to have you on the show soon.
Yes, you do.
Talk about something.
And it's just been crazy because I just decided last Wednesday night.
Nice.
So we've been trying to pull everything together so quickly. So as soon as I can, probably next week.
All right.
I think hopefully by tomorrow we'll have our website up and the email and the donation information up. But it's going to be epic. And it's going to be we are going to campaign. We're going to change the way we campaign in this country.
All right. I'm going to stop the video for a second. Let's do this. Okay. Let's do this. Let's not sling back and forth. I 100% still stand with everybody here. I'm not making enemies. I want us all to stick together. Let's not sling mud right now. It's not the time to do that. It's not the time to do that. Listen, we can just move on. We've moved on. I'm addressing it on my end. I'm moving on. I don't want to relive it. It's over. It's done. It happened. We can learn. Let's all stick together. Okay? Let's all stick together. Because when we all stick together, together as one, more gets accomplished. Together as one in a group, better things happen and we rise above. So let's not sling mud. It happened, we learned, we move on. That's what we do. And the movement gets stronger. And Karen still needs us. John still needs us. Everybody still needs us out in front of that courtroom, continuing to do what we do. But we will be better people now. We will move on. We will move on. And then in next week, guess who's back out? The leader, Aiden Carney Turtle Boy, will be back. And he will have a lot to say. And I can't wait. I cannot wait because he needs to be here. And he needs to be out here being the voice of this community. It's been far too long. He needs to get his time back out there, back out front, back on top. And he will have his chance to do that. He's going to do many great things. And we all can continue to do many, many great things in this movement. But we have to stick together. Power in numbers. Power in numbers always wins. I will continue to cover this case. I will be very respectful to Turtle Boy when he streams. I'm going to put that on record. If he's going and I plan to do a Karen Reed stream, I will not stream over him. I will give him his spotlight. I may do another case that night and work around that. He's done a lot for me. He's given me many opportunities. And I'm glad that I've had the opportunity to say that to him. I'm very thankful, extremely thankful. But I have to listen to what he said in that post. And that's why I had to check myself and say, hey, I fucked up and I'm sorry. And I'll move on and I'll grow from it and I'll learn from it to keep in check. You know, he's let me be a guest host on his channel. He's allowed me to do that. He's allowed me to help him. And that's why I have to stand up now and just say, hey, man, I fucked up. I'm sorry. I said things too. I had some digs at the end, some little digs. But let's stick together. Let's move forward. Let's not let this beat us down. We all need time to heal. We all need time to move on. And it will happen. It'll happen. All right. Let's keep playing through. Let's hear Rita. Change Canton.
We're going to change Canton and we're going to lead the way for everybody else. We are going to have an epic campaign like you have never seen before.
I love it.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to put random citizens in those.
Yes. I just want to say this is, you know, when things like that happen, it's because we're very passionate about this. We care about it. We put a lot of work and time into this. And that's why we feel very protective of situations when people try to penetrate our armor. You know, and I felt a little bit like that at the end when I said a few things to Grant when he walked away. And it was stupid of me. And I thought about it after when I went, fuck. You know, and I had time to think about it today and I went, fuck. You know, but it is, we're very, very protective. And again, I apologize. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. We need change.
Put a human
Change
being
again.
on that.
Right.
Yes, we're going to put a human being on there. Yes, and in the feds we trust. Look at this. It's my sign. I did this morning.
Wait.
Because it's not Auntie Beth. It's in the feds we
It's
trust.
in the feds we trust. Right. I love it.
It's going to be epic.
Yeah, let me know. We'll be on the show.
I'm passionate.
Good. How you doing?
Good. When is you running?
The election is April 2nd, and then
John, I don't think you
early
can say it
voting
any
as
better.
well. And so once we get everything together, we're gonna have a big announcement.
Oh, good.
So yeah, oh, thank you so much. It is gonna be so much fun.
I can't vote for you because I'm from Wheeler.
That's okay. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Because
We
people,
want to just get you out there.
you know, people are coming from all over, and it's gonna be fun. And it's, yeah, it really is. I'm so excited.
And I got a picture of you too. I'm gonna send
Yeah,
it,
absolutely.
So Aiden and
There you
Jill.
go. Oh, absolutely. Send it to him.
Excellent.
Excellent. It's gonna be good.
It is gonna be good.
So good.
If anybody wants to know what I say, I'll let you know. As Grant was walking away after everything that went down, I started screaming, and there it is, the walk of shame. And then everybody followed my actions after I said that. So that's what I said. And I shouldn't have said that. I should have been the better person, kept my camera recording, and that's it. So again, I apologize. And I'll keep it in check next time.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna get back to
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I haven't been.
Yeah, I know.
Because I'm working full time.
I know. I do too. I do this full time and a full time job. It's crazy. And I take care of my mom too, so that's even a full time job. Yeah, she's legally blind, so it's tough, you know. Yeah.
Wow.
Did I get paid?
Yeah, here we go.
No, I didn't
I
get
didn't know
paid.
what everyone was
Why?
talking about
Paying me.
for getting paid.
Oh, we're getting paid. That's right.
Hey.
All right.
Money
We
for
got paid.
everybody. You get
It's all the
paid.
paid protesters, right?
You get paid.
Because all the signs look the same, right?
You get paid.
We get paid for holding these signs. These are all professional.
Rita's hilarious.
Minion money.
This was a professional made sign.
Show me the money. Minion money.
Jody.
Show me the money.
You got one paid minions.
Karen Reed.
Paid minions.
Oh, Robin, I completely agree.
Yes.
I
Look at
completely
that.
agree.
Professional.
And this side too, we don't
But
waste
that's who he is. And just like Aiden said in his article today, that's who he is, you know? And I'm not playing. I have the video. I have the whole thing. And he was digging. I have the whole thing, but I'm not going to play that because out of respect to Karen, there's a lot of stuff that's said on there, a lot of medical stuff that I don't want to rehash and go over. We all know about it. And that's not our business. But unfortunately, I feel bad because that's stuff that's come out in court, you know, that had to be said in court. And I'm not going over that. And nor can I say that anybody ever on the Free Karen Reed side has ever mocked Karen about that. So the delusional fantasy that he has in his head, I don't know where that comes from. But I want to make sure that I get that on the record for everybody in this movement. No one has ever mocked Karen for anything about her medical history. So let's just get that off the table because that's complete BS. So again, I have the video. I'm not posting it. I'm not sharing it. It is what it is again. But I like I said, I'm apologizing for my actions yesterday. And, you know, we'll move forward. I've learned and we'll move forward.
Believe it or not,
All right.
company.
We got tinfoil hats too. Look at this.
Hey, you said no tinfoil hats. How's it going, Brian?
Good. How are you? Good to see you, man.
Same here.
Yeah. Good to see you. It's amazing.
Oh, you're absolutely. Hey, how are you?
Rita's a trip.
We got paid. Professional made signs. We got paid. Yes, we're minions. Minions that have education from Boston University. We're minions. Absolutely.
What's up, Richie? What's up,
Hey,
dude?
buddy.
How are you,
How you
man?
doing?
Good to see you. Yeah, good to see you.
What's new?
Just, hey, man, you know, keep supporting, keep supporting.
What are you expecting for today?
I think it's gonna be a quick old in out, the old in out, you know. But I do think the defense will get a lot of things on the record today if they will be heard. If they will be heard. The feds, I think the feds talk about that again, and then hopefully, you know, hey, look, where's all this evidence that we have? Look at the Verizon data. They're not even getting the correct Verizon data yet.
Yeah.
2 years.
That's
2
one of
years.
Lally's tricks.
Yeah, 2
Send the wrong
years.
data. He did the same with the geofence.
2 years.
Yeah.
We've been waiting.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Crazy.
Hey, did you give me a Valentine's Day card?
Not yet. I
Reddington
have it in the car, actually.
Reddington did submit some stuff today, though.
Oh, yeah?
They submitted
Yeah.
the first fight. Stuff
That's
today.
right.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
Well, I
It'll
think
be
that's-
interesting today.
It was dated 2/15.
Yeah.
Yesterday. Oh, no, it's today, right?
Yeah.
I love your comments, Tom. So funny.
I had it going. Hey, how about you get us three? Richie.
I have to say, great moment here by Tom. Absolutely great moment here by Tom. And I appreciate it. Every single person out there participated in this next moment. And good call, Tom. Great call on this one.
Well, great job.
Is it possible for us to have a moment of silence for John? I mean, we're all here because of that.
Sure.
Right? Unfortunately, we're here. Can we all just take a moment?
Robin, I agree.
Free Karen Reed! Free Karen Reed!
Trump.
There it is.
There it is.
Oh. Free Karen Reed! 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 Free Karen Reed!
Sorry, Rich. Love it.
No, she's a new fan.
Love the sign. That's great.
It's actually not hers. It's
Really.
not mine.
It's awesome, though.
Yeah, but it's the best sign here.
Yeah. Great. It is the best sign. Love it.
How you feeling?
Good.
That's good.
Yeah.
You had a nice walk the other day.
Had a nice walk.
Hi, Brian.
How are you?
Oh, thank you. Everyone's awesome here.
Is Karen arriving? That's where all those amazing pictures from, is it Brian Hale Photography, came out? Karen's jacket was the talk of the town yesterday, her jacket. quiet.
Hi, Karen.
Okay.
Karen's dad. Now I'm in dress shoes trying to run. I'm in dress shoes trying to run. Yes, those photos were amazing. I'm in dress shoes trying to run. I'm gonna break my ankle if I run. Yeah, I'm gonna break my ankle if I run. I agree, Tom.
No, we got the line right there. We're good.
So this is kind of interesting because this part's a little interesting. Now we're behind the tape line, and we get poo-pooed here by the state police and the court officer, which is very strange. Now we have every right to be where we're at, and they push us down.
Or every time you're on.
Now we're behind the line.
Gotta go down. Thank you.
Yeah, folks, you jumped the net. Come on, you gotta get off the stairs, please. Off the stairs, you broke the net.
The net, the net.
The line is right there. We weren't even at.
Like, really?
Thank you.
We were at the line, but we broke the line. Doesn't make any sense.
Don't be a child.
Poor Ted Daniel trying to get in there. All right. I'm going to stop here. I don't think we need to relive this part. So, like I said, I think this is a time for all of us to heal. I think this is all a time for us to come together. I think for myself going forward, I've learned. And again, you know, I continue to support everybody in this movement. Everybody has their own voice. Everybody has their own right and their own actions to what they did, what was done. I think it's a time to move on. I think it's a time to continue to stay together. I felt the right to apologize for my actions. I can't apologize for anybody else. If they want to apologize, that's on them. It's their own thing. But I know going forward, I'll keep myself in check. And I will continue to help with the movement and to continue to support. I don't know. I guess that's all I have. That's all I have. Right. I think Sarah made a good point. It happened. Let's learn. Let's move on and stick together. Of course. It's what we need to do. It's what we need to do. Really quick. There's a motion in Aiden's. So this was posted about 2 hours ago. Supreme Judicial Court, Suffolk County, Commonwealth versus Aiden Carney. Status date 2/16. It was ruled today. Was on the bail revocation, and it was denied. Petition denied. So that's where we're at. So the 23rd is looking like that will be the date that Aiden Carney will join us again, aka Turtle Boy, and we move on. Stick together, guys. Let's not fight. Again, it's the volatility of the situation. There's a lot of passion involved. There's a lot of emotions involved. And we just can't let those things get the better of us, you know? And again, I can't speak for everybody, only speaking for myself. And I will continue to 100% support everybody, all the creators that have been on my panel. I support them. They're always welcome here. Shit happens, you know, shit happens. So we'll move on. I have learned. I appreciate everybody. Appreciate all the new subscribers that have come into the channel and all of the support from everybody here over these past streams. I have some good upcoming streams this weekend. I'm going to go back to Nicholas Rossi. I have Brian Coogan coming on Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He will be here, and he is a man that knew Nicholas Rossi, Nicholas Aliverdi, a.k.a. Arthur Knight. He's going to tell us all his complete crazy situation of knowing Nicholas Rossi. Also, probably tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a stream breaking down early in the morning, breaking down the behavior panel. If you've ever seen that YouTube channel, it's called the Behavior Panel, and they break down certain behaviors of people, defendants, and just different patterns of behavior in people. And I actually reached out to Scott, one of the gentlemen that are on that panel, and asked them if I could use the Nicholas Rossi stream to kind of go through and break it down. They had no problem with me doing that. I was very nice about it. And he said that I could go through it. So I plan on probably doing that tomorrow morning. And that will lead me into Sunday. Tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, I will not be around, so I will not be streaming, but I will be back on Sunday night. And of course, when things come up in Karen's case, I will report. So thank you all so much for being part of the LTL True Crime family here. I do appreciate it. And, you know, I will have more things coming up soon. So thank you all so much. I hope everybody has an amazing night. Let's stick together. This is a time that we need to stick together. Let's keep continuing to move the Free Karen Read movement forward. And just think, in about 10 days, Turtle Boy will be back, and he's going to have a lot to say. He's going to have a lot to say. So everybody, be well. Have a great night. I appreciate it. And I will talk to everybody soon. Take care.
LTL True Crime, we go deep in the dark, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden marks, from the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL True Crime, unraveling the web of evil, no stone left unturned, we dive into the prime. Yeah, we digging up the dirt, bringing justice to the crime. LTL True Crime, unveiling dark realities every time.
Yeah, LTL True Crime, we going deep in the dark, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden march, from the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting in the minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL True Crime, unraveling the web of evil, no stone left unturned, we dive into the prime. Yeah, we digging up the dirt, bringing justice to the crime. LTL True Crime, unveiling dark realities every time.
LTL True Crime, we go deep in the dark, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden marks, from the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL True Crime, unraveling the web of evil, no stone left unturned, we dive into the prime. Yeah, we digging up the dirt, bringing justice to the crime. LTL True Crime, unveiling dark reality. LTL True Crime, we going deep in the dark. Peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie. Getting into minds of a wicked, no alibi. LTL True Crime, unraveling the web of evil. No stone left unturned, we dive into the crime. Yeah, we digging up the dirt, bringing justice to the crime. LTL True Crime, unveiling dark realities every time.
It makes absolutely no sense. That is the Commonwealth grasping at straws. If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck.
We have the 8 letters. We've seen them. We've read them. We are using them. The genie cannot be put back in the bottle.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so much. I appreciate all the support. Please continue to support everybody in this movement. Let's stay together. Let's stick together. We can move forward. We can move forward as a group. And like I said, in 10 days, Aiden will come back and I can't wait to hear from him. So thanks, everybody. Have a good night. Bye-bye.